All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, I mostly have not cared about COVID for like a year now. Occasionally, I would be reminded of how dumb our policy was when blue cities refused to drop mask mandates and Uber rides, but by and large, I moved on. Every once in a while, you see someone in a K95 in the grocery store and you think, wow, that's kind of wacky, but look, it's their life. They can do whatever they want. If you look at the data, I'm solidly where most people are. We just don't care anymore. We don't think about it. That's why what just happened at the White House was so bizarre. It was like a TV screen into a different universe. When President Biden got his fifth, I repeat, fifth coronavirus shot in the last 2 years, and encouraged literally everyone to do the same and issued this stark warning. Let's take a listen.
So take precautions, stay safe. You can spend Thanksgiving with family and friends with a peace of mind knowing that you've done your part for everyone's well-being. My administration is doing our part. We've made these updated vaccines easy to get and available for free at tens of thousands of convenient locations.
What's your reaction to the Saudis on oil urging the U.S. not to use reserves?
Sir, do you think it was a mistake for New York to withdraw its mandate for vaccines?
Say again?
Do you think it's a mistake for New York to withdraw its vaccine mandate for private employers?
No, I don't think. That's a local judgment. Thank you.
Lots to unpack there. Fifth time President Biden received the COVID shot on camera, with rhetoric reminiscent of the early days of 2021. That's actually what strikes me the most about this. Since 2021, we've learned a lot about COVID, about the efficacy of vaccination, of boosters, of Omicron, and more. And yet, the Biden administration continues to stick with the unscientific notion that getting the Omicron booster after already getting 4 other shots somehow protects other people that you might be around at Thanksgiving. Now look, I honestly ignored the news of the Omicron booster, like most of you. A month after its so-called rollout, only 4% of the US public had even gotten one. All of us basically moved on. But now that the White House is pushing it so hard, we've got to delve into just how crazy the approval process of this shot was, what it actually does, and why the push for the 5th shot will likely kill other public vaccination campaigns for a long time. Let's start with the latest booster itself. What exactly is the Omicron booster? The medical term is a bivalent vaccine, which means it contains a mix of mRNA from the original COVID strain and the Omicron variant. The theory behind it is the updated shot will give people more protection against Omicron as it remains the dominant circulating form of the virus across the world. Except there are big problems in how this shot was even approved in the first place. As Dr. and MPH David McCune writes in Dr. Vinay Prasad's excellent Sensible Medicine magazine, the bivalent booster shot was approved by the CDC and the FDA with no data from human trials. In fact, Pfizer presented its version of the bivalent booster to the board with data literally from 8 mice. Worse, the study on the mice had finished on the very same day that they were even presenting the slide, with not one shred of data to provide prevention of severe disease. Pfizer claimed the vaccine reliably raised antibodies, but said even in mice, quote, there was no correlate of protection against COVID. David McCune continues, there was no safety data used to approve this vaccine. Quote, literally none. He continues, quote, the committee was uneasy but ultimately chose to learn about any new side effects after the rollout. So in conclusion, he notes, quote, in choosing an untested new vaccine combination, the FDA opted for speed over evidence in the hope of providing protection from current and future variants. They discussed an ongoing series of boosters with no clear metrics as to how and when this should end. He adds that all we really know about these shots is that a BA.5 bivalent vaccine raised antibody levels and in 8 mice who received it and lived long enough to have their blood drawn. Anything more is speculation. This is a scandal of epic proportions. How does this get approved widely for the entire general population? David McCune continues that in August, he actually wrote that in August of 2022, and on the very same day that Joe Biden, the CDC, and the FDA just asked us all to take these latest booster shots, researchers at Columbia University and the University of Michigan found that the bivalent booster failed to raise levels of protective antibodies against Omicron variant any more so than the previous 4 shots. The finding directly contradicts findings from both Moderna and Pfizer, which were published 2 weeks ago, which claimed that they had early positive data to show protection against Omicron, and yet they claimed it on data that was based off of just 7 days after vaccination. Columbia's study looked 3 to 5 weeks out. Furthermore, many might have noticed, as Dr. Prasad did, that the freaking CDC director Rochelle Walensky just got COVID this week, literally only 1 month after getting the so-called bivalent booster. As Dr. Prasad concludes from this episode, quote, "Before we launch massive vaccination campaigns, we need good evidence that they actually benefit the people we are tasked with protecting and caring. Rochelle Walensky's infection is a reminder to the American people she doesn't know what she's talking about because she has not asked for good evidence. Consider all the information I just gave you in the context of the president's proclamation that we should all rush to get this booster, which has no data to show that it will do a damn thing in protecting people around you this Thanksgiving." And to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't get this booster. If you're obese, if you're old, or if you're immunocompromised, maybe it makes sense. You should talk to your doctor. Or you can also do what I and many others did in the pandemic. You can lose some weight, you could go to the gym, you can reduce your alcohol consumption, and you won't just be better protected against COVID, you will reduce your likely all-cause mortality and feel much better every day of your life. As the Washington Post so hilariously put it just 2 days ago, quote, "Regular exercise may improve the effectiveness of the coronavirus vaccine." Can't help but laugh at that one. How about regular exercise may improve your health across the board? Regardless, the population-wide study in South Africa the piece was based on found that people who exercise were far less likely than those who were sedentary to be hospitalized for COVID, period. That data holds for almost everything from diabetes to heart disease, general aches and pains, depression. I can continue forever. If you really want to protect the people around you on Thanksgiving, here's my advice, which is actually backed up by science. Sign up for a turkey trot and don't be one of the millions of Americans who add weight during the holidays only to never lose it over the course of your life. Look, it may not be fun, but listen.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.